We are live. This is the market update at its new time. I am your host, Bill Noble. Oh my God. ChatGPT, a new model featuring all the spooky Gann analysis. Where is XRP going this week? Where is it going this month? What about Bitcoin? And guess what? Maybe we can get a hint as to what days, because Gann was a big price and time guy. Get some kind of hint, emphasis on hint, as to what days might be the best days to get involved for any May rally. A solid supplement in my mind to any TA that you're doing. That is coming up in the PowerPoint section. Naturally, you don't want to miss it. Now, you definitely want to turn on the notification bell for the stream, and you definitely want to visit us in the new YouTube member area, because when I show you what this model can generate, and then I tell you about all the different roadmaps involving dates and times that I'm going to be producing for each coin. So I've already got it for Bitcoin, XRP, and Solana. I'm going to have it for Sui and Cardano last night. Like, I just can't believe what's coming out of this machine, right? The era of Gann being ununderstandable may be over. Patreon's store will be filled up with these reports in the event you're allergic to the a la carte thing, and I will be covering this information in the 6th Street Crypto podcast, where I can give you a video and text. Okay, don't forget about LuxAlgo, and get yourself a ticket to that Bitcoin conference, because if Bitcoin is at 108, I would imagine that would be a very good time. Don't go anywhere. XRP and Bitcoin fans, don't go anywhere. All right, so we got this right. Alexandra is here. Alexandra, welcome back. Hopefully it's not too late. We tried to get on here in time for European late night. Bull Runner is back saying, dude, I've been waiting all day for this. Bless you, sir. GF is here, right? Tango FN, T-Bone, right? A member for 6 months. Yao Lopez from Portugal, the Hot Mess Express. Welcome. Forget about it from Smashville. Bobby, a member for 6 months. Thank you. Right. T-Bone is like, I'm waiting for the good news so I can get out of my 9 to 5. T-Bone, I'm getting you out of your 9 to 5 if it's the last thing I do. Bobby loves his job. That's great. Right. Bob Marsh is here. Welcome to VIP access, sir. Right. Wrong again. Right. Tyler. GME is here. Wrong again. When ETH? I think sooner. Toby thinks later. Q4 or post Bitcoin top, which again, you can read all about possibly in these new reports, in these new Gann reports that are going to be coming out throughout the premium era. I think that's when you get ETH. All right. We can't get a good quarter in crypto. It's been 6 months of dumping, says Felix. Okay, can we get Gann work on Litecoin? Yet not on the stream, but I will do. I mean, I can't do it on the stream, right? But I will get it done. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Welcome to the new Monday evening live stream. Tell your friends. So just as a reminder, in case that, you think that everybody is, kind of on your side, some of the Orange Man's people had their phone hacked. How funny, huh? Supposedly that's a secure device or a secure program in Signal. You got to be your own governor. You have to be your own boss. You have to be your own bank. Okay, so Powell's this week. Now, my attitude is, who cares, right? What Powell does, A, it doesn't matter, and B, whatever he does is wrong. I'll go over that, meaning if he cuts rates, he means something is wrong and he's giving in to the orange man, which he should because he's inept, or he leaves rates where they are and makes the mistake of leaving rates too high just for the sake of being stubborn because I don't know, there's a strategic concern about tariffs. So I have to sit around and crush the housing market. What a dummy. Now let's talk about the job market. So the job statistics were great, which is why there's only a 2% chance Powell cuts rates, because the job numbers were great. And I guess the job numbers were great because everybody was hiring after the orange man's allegedly pro-business, pro-business platform, and he was going to swoop in and everything was going to be great. Everybody hired. I wonder if that's going to last. I kind of doubt it. CEOs may use this as an excuse. Okay. And even if they don't, I think that's a good thing, obviously, for humanity and for the market, because everybody expects some kind of catastrophic recession. Yes, that shock from the last quarter, that will affect the jobs market, probably will make it harder for people who are already unemployed to find new work. Okay. But no recession as of now. We need lower rates. We need to save housing. But I don't know that this is so apocalyptic. I don't know. Right? Next Fed meeting is scheduled for May 6th and 7th. So they have a 2-day meeting where they sit around and talk about what? I don't know. I guess I have my Gann model and they have theirs. Rates are too high. You need a 2-day meeting to know that rates are too high? I don't know. I don't know. Look at where home sales are, bro. Check it out. Rates are too high. 2-day meeting. Excellent. Okay, massive cringe. Hate it. Coinbase, new Bitcoin commercial. Please stop it. I hate commercials. Please just stop it. Yes, this is a good idea for educating people, as long as you don't run it on football games. Stop it. The ultimate pain trade is a tech rally. So, end of the world trade happens in equities, right? Then technology companies release their earnings. Technology companies have been relentlessly cutting headcount and simultaneously building massive data centers, right? The only reason we don't have artificial general intelligence right now is because they don't have the hardware to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in some ways it's kind of laughable, right? Like I try to upload a spreadsheet with like a year of data into a chatbot, and after a point, it was like out of memory, can't take it. Now, I'm sure there are workarounds around that, but they don't have the hardware, and they're going to build it, right? Which is what's holding up the whole economy, which is this whole thing about, oh my God, it's a recession and the tariffs. It's like, wait a minute. It was the apocalypse 2 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, it was crypto winter. Neither of those things is happening. If anything, it may be like a Goldilocks world where legacy doesn't get completely nuked, but people go, you know what? I don't think I want to buy tech stocks after a massive bear market rally. I think I'll buy Bitcoin instead. Q1 earnings per share growth coming in at 12% year over year, double the 6% estimate at the start of earnings season. So guess what? As soon as the orange man opened his mouth about tariffs, companies laid everyone off. They cut costs, I think. And their earnings were good because, they were fueled by optimism from the orange man getting into office. But the fact of the matter is, everybody expected the apocalypse, and it wasn't. Matter of fact, it was the other way. Because they're going to build. Interesting, don't you think? So, if things aren't that bad in stonks, which are meh and in a range, as I've said over and over again, if stocks are in a range, and that range probably has been defined, right? Euphoria, apocalypse, somewhere in the middle. What's going to trend? Not this, right? You got people like, oh yeah, it's a bear market rally, sell. Okay. Question is, what are you going to buy for the next uptrend? No one's talking about that. They were talking about Bitcoin doing well, but then as soon as Bitcoin stops moving, as one of our loyal viewers said, listen, man, we can't put a good quarter together. We can't put a good month. It's tough to even put a good couple days together. I mean, yeah, it's off the lows, but I get it, dude. I get it. As soon as the market stops going up, everyone gets depressed and bored. And I strongly discourage you from getting depressed and bored. We will go over some Gann quotes, again, directed at the XRP community, thanks to our model. Okay, voters see the orange man as a failure and would-be dictator with the honeymoon over, says, yeah, the internet division of, MSNBC. Okay. Now, let me ask you just a quick question. As apolitical as possible. What happens if all the things that the orange man has recently done is not a disaster? Question one. Question two, what happens if what the orange man did is neutral to positive? What happens? What happens if the world doesn't end, and B, it's a neutral to positive? Is that priced into markets right now? Absolutely not. I mean, yeah, stocks went all the way down and all the way back, but where's the sentiment? Everyone in equity is like, oh yeah, I can't be a contrarian here. I can't go to the macro cocktail parties and be bullish. Absolutely not. I'm like, oh, this thing is rallying. Oh, it's ridiculous. I can just hear it. You can see it, right? You can see it in nude. It's Fed week. It's Fed week, and here's what to expect. More ineptitude and more reasons to buy Bitcoin because they don't care about you. Powell won't cut interest rates this week. Of course not. Of course not. Now, from a data point of view, there's no reason to. But this whole idea of following the data is wrong because the data that they're looking at is not the correct data. They should be looking at continuing unemployment claims and what is going on with housing. Okay, so a Middle Eastern country said, we might be able to do a deal. Mainly because the Chinese get all their oil from this particular country, and conflict is in no one's interest. Now, there's all this tough talk. There's always tough talk. And there's all this talk of conflict. And as we learned last year and the year before that, announced conflicts don't happen. So everybody makes a whole bunch of noise. Everyone thinks it's horrible, and it may not be. I'm just saying, it may not be. Everybody assumes, geopolitical situation, the world is changing, the multipolar order, the monetary system is collapsing. The monetary system has been collapsing for 10 years. 15 if you count the start of QE. It's time for Bitcoin. It's not time for the end of the world. It's time for Bitcoin. And then it's time for everything that follows Bitcoin, which is a massively undervalued, what I call tech sector. And the obvious thing that young people need to make money, and they will open the meme casino on Solana again. And somehow AI agent coins will be involved, hopefully with antivirus following fart to absurd valuations, to be honest with you. Right. The meme casino will reopen. Right. We'll once again, we'll show the John McAfee video of McAfee, a deceased person, talking again on YouTube. All right. Now, on the positive side of the legacy ranch, so let's review. The market goes down. Every economist has to change their forecast and say, well, it's a recession. It's the end of the world. Right. It's the end of the world. I have to change my forecast to fit the market. Okay. Then the market goes up and everyone goes, well, you know what? Maybe we're going to have lower tariffs, lower rates, and lower taxes. I think the orange man has to do tax relief mainly because of where his poll numbers are. They have to get tax relief through. And I don't know if they're going to have to suspend the whole Doge thing to make sure that Congress gets whatever sugar it wants in order to get the tax relief for like the bottom third of the income bracket. I think they're going to lower taxes and they're going to continue to spend. That's the case for Bitcoin. Elon got 160 billion on paper and he got 58 billion of actual cuts before they literally ran him out of town. And if he wants to be a big show off in the political arena or on his own platform, X, he's going to have to either quit Tesla and go to work for the government, or he's going to have to start buying Bitcoin or accept Bitcoin for Teslas, right? He's not the most popular kid in school anymore. Current S&P win streak will end badly. Well, yeah, when it goes up 9 days in a row, usually nothing good happens after that. Some kind of correction, but it's in a range, right? See, everyone's like, bearish at the bottom. Everyone's like, oh my God, at the bottom. And then they're like, sell the rally. And what happens if that doesn't work? Right? What happens if it's just in a range? No one's talking about stocks in a range. That allows crypto to start moving higher. SEC commissioner, tokenization can transform financial markets. People, these guys had their pants scared off. They watched the treasury market not function for a week. And whatever problem is out there, it's still out there. Again, the risks in the system, housing and this bond market trade gone wrong. BlackRock is going to want to access capital markets without going through banks. And they need liquidity in things like anything from treasuries, corporate bonds, private equity, all of these legacy things. When you have a problem in the system, everything freezes. They need additional sources of liquidity. This is going to happen, and it's going to happen on ETH, and it's going to start happening this year, right? Whether it's DeFi or real world assets, it's happening. You know how I knew that? Because I'm a regular attendee at the YouTube member podcast, right? Which, I strongly encourage you to check that out. We have the link down below, and Eagle King's got the QR code up on the stream. What I can tell you about Toby is that she hasn't been wrong about anything ever. And now I got the wicked Gann model. Toby is great with price, and the Gann model is great for time. We're about to use, the clairvoyant and ChatGPT to just rock it. Come visit us. It's going up in May, in our opinion. China steps up its game in the global AI race. So, why are we not talking about investing in AI? Why are we not talking about that? Why isn't that like the headline thing? Like how to invest in AI, how to get involved in AI and robotics. By the way, this is a talking dead guy, right? Brought to back with an AI trained on his life, his videos, his declaration of cryptocurrency independence. So the script for this came from an AI version of him. And the eventual objective is for this guy to just talk independently. How long do you think that can happen? How long do you think that's going to take? This thing initially hit the scene in November, and now he's talking on YouTube. Right? So everyone's like, everyone looks at this and goes, everyone looks at this and says, oh yeah, we're going to have robots tomorrow. Absolutely. Is this going to happen? Oh yeah, we better hurry up and do it before the Chinese do it. And then we have a dead guy talking, and everyone's like, no, I'm not interested. Okay. Artificial general intelligence, can it really think like a human? Yes, it can. They just don't have the hardware. They don't. And again, if you look at some of these tech earnings releases, they are telling you we are crushing expenses and the acceleration, like in other words, data spending has gone up. And then they're telling you data center spending will accelerate, which means it will increase at an increasing rate. So we're building 10% more stuff. Then we're going to do 20% more stuff. And then we're going to do 40% more stuff. And it's not going to stop. Because this is where they want to get to. They want to go full Skynet. And between there and full Skynet, we have cyberpunk research here. And we have potentially Gann demystified, at least for knuckle draggers like me, so I can get Gann analysis and not have to spend $3,000 on software or quit my job to read books. That, of course, that value now passes over to you. We're going to do some on the stream because we know not everybody's got money. But definitely, we already got it in Patreon, right? We share that in a minute later, okay? And again, got a question from Kim. Is the Crypto Noble team heading to Vegas for the conference? I will not be there due to logistical reasons, and I'm really unhappy about that. I'm trying to fix that. All right, but I would recommend attending the antivirus meetup that they're going to have. All right, I will make sure I get whatever details about that I can get out there. I'm working on it. All right, my advice is, when it comes to crypto conferences, like some of the best memories I've ever had in crypto, let me just take this off for just 1 second. Some of the best memories that I've ever had in crypto were at these conferences. Because, you know, everything is digital and everything is on Zoom. You know, no, we don't hang out with each other, right? Not to mention, in fact, what you just learn about being there. Like, say you think you don't know anything about crypto or you don't know enough. I didn't know anything when I went to Texas Bitcoin conference in 2017, man. What a classic hokey, cheesy thing that was. It was absolutely great. Absolutely great. So some of the best times and some of the most knowledge, because if you just sit there for 8 hours a day and you go to panel after panel after panel after panel and you just listen, it's like reading 100 books, in my opinion. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the best I can to get there. Okay. Now, Orange Man says at some point he will lower tariffs on China. Orange Man says, I want crypto. Crypto is important because if we don't do it, the Chinese will. The most important reason to do Bitcoin and crypto is because they need a growth industry in the United States. There's all this talk about contraction, and there's too much talk about his meme coin and not enough talk about the Bitcoin strategic reserve. By the way, just so you know, Milk Road is reporting that the Bitcoin reserve 60-day deadline gets hit today. Trump's Bitcoin reserve executive order mandated that an evaluation of the legal and investment consideration for establishing the reserve was due today. So I don't know where that is. I don't know if Howard Lutnick took a power nap and overslept. I don't know. But hopefully they get their act together on the strategic reserve. And if they ever did, wow, right? Because this market is sleeping. Speaking of sleeping, okay, this poor individual who's been immortalized over the Bitcoin pizzas, you know, it's now worth $1 billion. Look, the moral of this story is that, and again, this is in Patreon. It is in the Patreon store. We are out there looking at small caps across AI, across DeFi, right? Listen, we are trying to get you on the next Bitcoin pizza day. In other words, we're trying to find that small cap. And why would you not do that? Well, the reason is because you want to do at least some homework so you don't wind up like the poor pizza guy. You know, how horrible. Okay, Michael Saylor waving his hands in the air like he just doesn't care. What does he know that you don't know? That's what we should do every time we look at these tweets. What does he know that you don't know? That in a cyberpunk AI world, no one is going to touch, okay? No one is going to touch fiat, okay? No one. Breaking news from the Eagle King, Hester Pierce. Our next roundtable is on tokenization. All right, guys, I appreciate the roundtables, but we need less roundtables and we need more aggressive action. Do it. Do it, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say. Do it. Bitcoin is now available at currency counters at the airport. They must watch the show. Bitcoin is a part of the foreign exchange market. It's a currency. So, of course, you should be able to exchange it at a currency counter at an airport. And I still think these guys from GameStop should turn these brick and mortar game shops into like little Bitcoin hubs. I mean, I don't understand why we don't have a Bitcoin video game, that we have Bitcoin board games, but we don't have a Bitcoin video game. How is that? Someone explain these things to me. I mean, I know we have something called a BitBoy game, game, like, as in, the Nintendo product I used as a kid, okay, where you can earn Bitcoin through like a DPIN process. Where's the Bitcoin video game? Where's like the cyberpunk thing where if you get to the end and beat the boss, you get, I don't know, you get 0.01 Bitcoin. Where's that? Bitcoin Standard author says why Bitcoin is the best monetary network. See, this is the key. Bitcoin is money and software. You can't beat it on the money front. You can't beat it on the software front. And you can't beat MicroStrategy as a company. All the legacy guys want to publish cringe stories about Michael Saylor. Good luck with that. How many cyberpunks are out there like Michael Saylor? You know, you want to be a cyberpunk like Michael Saylor. And T-Bone, who's got MicroStrategy, I think, who is in a Patreon member, right? So you can talk, chat all together. You know, T-Bone, it was MicroStrategy FUD. Hedge funds were shorted. You know, I got sucked in reporting some of that. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, right? Be a cyberpunk like Mike. MicroStrategy has occurred, you know, another 1,800 Bitcoin. I know these tweets are a little bit mind-numbing, but, you know, Mike counts his P&L, taking into account all of the stock that could be, say, cashed in or created from these complex instruments that he sends out. So when Mike calculates his P&L, like, you know, how much he's earning per share, it's actually honest work. It is. And of course, Mike will remind you over and over and over again that, you know, he's beating the Magnificent Seven massively. Why? Because of Bitcoin as software, Bitcoin as money, and he's got the biggest position that nobody could ever possibly get. So whoever is selling Bitcoin to Mike, that's fine. He's taking it off the market and it's never going back out there. And as he said, what he's doing is he's making everyone on the network, again, the network, he's making everyone on the network rich. That's what he wants to do. So if you can get involved with $1, you can get involved with $100, get involved. And that goes for the whole rest of the crypto space. Because if we're going full cyberpunk, people, cyberpunk, there's stuff in the Patreon store, right? There's stuff in the Patreon store that is like, you know, 25 million market cap. Billionaire Jack Dorsey explains Bitcoin to the CEO of Norway's $1.8 trillion sovereign wealth fund. They have a lot of energy in Norway, and their sovereign wealth fund, where all that energy money goes, is probably one of the biggest in the world. Huge, huge. And when these guys want to come in, they're coming in. Because as we see, you know, U.S. states at 77, they didn't want it. It was too scary at 77. But at 107 or 127, it's undoubtedly going to be much more attractive. Okay, public companies will buy $330 billion over the next 4 years. $124 billion from MicroStrategy alone. And frankly, I think these numbers are too low. Because I think what the CEOs of all these tech companies are going to start figuring out is if they want to get on the right side of the orange man, they should get involved in crypto and buy Bitcoin. I even heard, I think I got a news article in here, some company is actually buying the orange man's meme coin for whatever reason. So you can get on board what the orange man wants to do, or you can chew on 100% tariff, or whatever the orange man feels like doing, because even though you donated $1 million to his inauguration fund, he doesn't care. So if the orange man wants to do Bitcoin, meme coins, Ethereum, DeFi, guess what? You are too. You are too. They were just giving him a hard time in the news about his meme coin. Again, that and tariffs, he's got to change the conversation. That has to pivot back towards Bitcoin. Berkshire Hathaway just announced that they hold $348 billion in cash. Well, of course, they're geniuses. Warren sold stocks relentlessly for 2 years, 3 years, right? He just kept selling. He sold all the way up. Fortunes are made by buying low and selling too early. Right? That's what Warren did. He just kept selling, and the last round of Apple and the last round of Bank of America went out at the top before the whole thing fell out of bed. So good for Warren, right? He's 100 years old. A great trade to end it all, right? But they got $348 billion in cash. What are they going to do with all that fiat? Well, I don't know. Maybe they're going to buy equities if equities get hammered into fall. Maybe. That seems to make sense. That's what stock guys like that do. Or they can just miss out. They can just hold the dollar. That's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with all these guys being late, because when they're late, that means we're early. Or when they will be late, we will be early. Remember that from 2024? Well, the market's gone up and you're not early, but okay. Then the market goes all the way back down and there's no talk about being early. None. Like early, it was crypto winter, which I'll never shut up about that. Crypto winter. The legacy market breaks and Bitcoin goes up and we're in crypto winter. Please. Okay, so Bitcoin has a presidential candidate that likes Bitcoin. This is kind of catching on, right? Like appeal to the crypto bros and get popular, and then turns and gets more people interested. It's like free marketing. Literally, it's decentralized marketing. It's like politicians go from hating it to loving it in order to get popular. Vitalik said Ethereum should adopt a protocol similar to Bitcoin. Okay, so Vitalik is now talking up Ethereum. Thank goodness. They sold it at 3,000, and now it's time to talk it up at 1,800. Because if you don't, and Solana takes off, and you get left in the dust, everyone's going to be like, everyone's just going to be like, escorting you to your grave. Personally, I think these guys can make the changes, and even if they don't make the changes, institutions are going to want to do tokenized assets on ETH and the solid layer 2 networks. North Carolina passes a bill for the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Arizona governor vetoes the strategic Bitcoin reserve from Arizona. And we have a senator who's bringing it up again. Let me ask you something. If it wasn't for Bitcoin, would you ever see this woman's face on X? And even if you did, would you care? It's a fashionable way to get involved. What do you think happens when it prints 105? No one wants it. They didn't want it at 75. They're still scared of it at 95. What happens if it prints 105? What kind of FOMO are you looking at? By November of 2025, all financial institutions must switch over to ISO 2222 to enhance interoperability between banks. Major financial institutions have invested in this protocol or process or idea, will maximize their investment by November. It's all documented below. This got XRP written all over it. And I'm going to have the GAN work on XRP and Bitcoin. You probably thought I forgot about it. You would be wrong. Okay? You got to watch out if they catch everybody in XRP sleeping, because I think that's what's happening. I mean, let's face it. That's what happened before the election. Everyone was sleeping on it, and then all of a sudden it was American-made crypto, and XRP was up 400%. The Ripple guys, I'm glad they didn't buy Circle, because that would have been $4 billion out of their pocket, but they're looking for a deal. They're looking for something. They're looking to try to break out because they want an IPO. Matter of fact, I have a GAN report talking about a new crazy upside target in XRP, and the GAN model maps out why that target is not crazy. So if you want to see that, I would at a minimum join the free Patreon group or join Patreon as a member, okay, because they'll get it first. Okay, so if you want to see a big upside target in XRP and how you get there, thanks to GAN and ChatGPT, but this is telling you right here. This is telling you right here. It's happening. Ripple pledges $25 million in stablecoins, right? They're trying to make sure there's a Ripple XRP headline every single day. Is this the end of Bitcoin DeFi? Okay, well, it's not, because the media just wrote that it might be, right? It's like, oh my God, we have institutional adoption and we can't have Bitcoin DeFi. Really? We can't have an interest rate on Bitcoin? Really? You sure about that? I don't think anybody owns Bitcoin, and nobody can turn off the network and say, you guys can't do this on the network. So if the media thinks Bitcoin DeFi is dead, it's not. This is the same group that wrote about crypto winter, probably. Bitcoin to $1 million. Intelligence community tips its hat to Bitcoin. Right? The deputy director says institutional adoption is a great trend. Right. That's because probably an intelligence officer wrote the original Bitcoin white paper, which is why you don't know who he is. In any case, Why is there all this talk about Bitcoin at $1 million and no talk about Bitcoin at 108? By the way, we'll talk about 108 in the GAN presentation that's coming up. Why is there no talk about 108? There's no talk about 120. There's all this hyperbole about how much Bitcoin people have to buy. There's all this hyperbole about the upside target. There's no talk about people's behavior when it blows through 100 and 100 doesn't matter. Again, with this Bitcoin conference coming up, where the clock's ticking. The orange man wants some kind of report or some kind of roadmap for the Bitcoin strategic reserve. So maybe they're stupid and they're not doing it, or not doing it now, which gives you a dip to 92. I'll tell you why that's important later. Or they're going to do something. They're going to do something in front of this conference, because if they don't, they would be idiots. I mean, the conference is in Vegas, for God's sakes. It's like Bitcoin's taking the whole town. It's not Bitcoin Nashville. That's not it. That's not it. Industry calls for urgent crypto laws in Australia. Right. The industry now has money to move politicians around. Right. And politicians are going to figure out very quickly crypto is the path to popularity because people want it. Their state governments, their local governments, they want it. They're afraid. They're afraid about the currency. Everyone's like, oh my God, stocks. Oh my God, bonds. What about the purchasing power of the currencies? Right? Like, how do you protect yourself? It's crazy banana pants. Bitcoin to see an additional $330 billion in inflows. Leading House Democrat will block crypto market structure bill hearing. Maxine Waters says she is concerned about U.S. president increasing crypto ties. Okay. So this is a public service announcement that the American left, I don't know, the left in England and Canada, I don't know. I don't know if they're left or that they're so far left, they're now on the right, like meaning George Orwell. Do these people care about you at all? Or is this just noise to get headlines, or both? They don't care about you. No, more specifically, they don't care about what you want, right? It's like, we tell you what you want. Actually, Maxine, no, you don't. No, you don't, right? And if Maxine's having a tough time figuring that out, I can refer her to the John McAfee podcast where he can explain it to Maxine. Other than that, I don't have an opinion. Tether enters the AI arena. So Tether is going to have AI moving stablecoins around. What do you think? Imagine that. Imagine somebody using AI in DeFi. Someone using AI to make a payment system more efficient. They must watch the show, right? This thing about AI and crypto, folks, when this trade happens, it's going to be massive. And if you can't figure out anything other than the artificial superintelligence token or fetch, render, and tau, if that's all you can figure out, great. You want to play around with antivirus? Great, right? They got privacy and they got, they got an AI meme. But there's other stuff out there, and there's new stuff that's going to come out. Everyone talks about Fartcoin. Like, everyone's like, oh, AI, yeah, Fartcoin. It's from Truth Terminal. It's like, okay. Well, if we can have Fartcoin at $2.5 billion, why is there no talk about the rest of the sector or bucket? As ACE sector analyst Toby Ward will tell you over and over again. This is a huge trade that is not being talked about. It's not at all. Semler Scientific adds 167 Bitcoin. They're just going to keep draining it out of the system. I don't know who the seller is. I don't think it's the Chinese. I don't think so, because the Chinese have got serious problems with their currency, and they can't afford to get rid of any hard asset, maybe with the exception of gold, right? They can dump gold to get dollars because they've been buying gold for 20 years. How's that working out, by the way? I mean, there's nothing wrong with gold. I get it. Gold can go much higher. The case is clear, especially if you look at it as a dollar devaluation. But the Chinese are backing their currency with gold. How's it working out? They're going to get down on their knees in front of the orange man and beg him to stop the tariffs because their whole system could crater. Their whole system was in trouble way before the orange man came back into office. And I continue to believe they're going to want the Bitcoin ETF out of Hong Kong, and the big Hong Kong and the big Chinese firms, if they're allowed to, they're going to want to get Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Okay, Michael Saylor, just keep on keeping on. And of course, the only way to get any attention is to do Michael Saylor FUD. Okay? This model is not good for the rest of crypto because if Mike blows up, the whole system blows up. Okay? While preparing, I had to suppress the eye-rolling reflexes that MicroStrategy triggers when its earnings come out. Okay. Before you become a genius, you must first become an idiot. And you know what? They still think he's an idiot. And the poor guy has to spend all day on CNBC explaining to people that machines are not going to use fiat. And Bitcoin may wind up being universal basic income to the point where if you have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you would be hedged against artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence. Or to say it more positively, maybe Bitcoin is a part of a Star Trek future wonderful era where it's like, you know, computer, can I get scrambled eggs and toast? And it's there, right? Bitcoin could be, as one guy thought leader says, about prosperity. When everyone's talking about the end of the world, I want to talk about prosperity and GAN, which is coming up momentarily. Bitcoin still rat poison with legacy. Excellent. Vitalik wants more simplicity. Excellent. Bitcoin treasury firms have a lot of dry powder, right? Because it's not attractive at 95, but it'll be much more attractive at 108. Orange man with scrutiny about his meme coin. House Republicans unveil digital asset bill. Okay. If I'm reading this correctly, not only do they want to do stable coins, but that Coinbase power lobby may get something to go through to say, you know what? We can never have a repeat of Gensler. You're free to move about the crypto universe. You know, if they actually publish that, that brings in banks as big buyers. We'll see if they can get it through. U.S. crypto market structure bill unveiled. Okay, so Coinbase was all worried they wouldn't do it. They wanted this and stable coins together. I think the fact that they're even willing to talk about this, and if Maxine Waters doesn't like it, well, that's all the more reason to like it, right? Because whatever the left wants to do is wrong. The left hasn't been right about anything ever. There's one geopolitical issue I sort of agree with them on. Other than that, they want you to eat bugs. They want to pay somebody to spray paint your Tesla and then leave a coupon on the window of the Tesla for bugs. Sorry, not doing it. Warren Buffett's retirement plan, fart coin. That's funny, right? In other words, the only AI trade in crypto that Warren Buffett could do right now is fart coin, because he certainly can't do anything with a talking dead guy with privacy function, because that would be way too radical for a 100-year-old guy, which is what makes me happy about it. If boomers don't like it, they don't understand it, and they can't buy it, it goes up. That includes all of AI, all of it. Orange man mystified about his meme coin, doesn't really know how much money he's making on it. I don't think the orange man is checking his P&L, but I don't believe he doesn't know what's going on, right? They have to change the subject. This tariff thing, you know, let's make no mistake about it. People got too bearish, but the messaging on that tariff thing was horrendous. They almost wrecked the world. They wanted the stock market down, but I don't know if they wanted it to be like, you know, 1 foot over the Armageddon line and 1 foot on a banana peel. So anytime they would like to change the subject to Bitcoin is okay with me. Binance says he advised some country overseas to adopt Bitcoin and BNB as the initial assets for its national currency reserve. Okay, this is not the country I have in mind for a crypto reserve, but once El Salvador is doing it, and you know, if the thing prints 128 and the guy from El Salvador is like smoking a big stogie on his yacht laughing, Yeah, that'll get people going. Again, all this talk about 1 million, nobody talking about 128. 31% of tax auditors quit. They really got those people, huh? They kind of duped them. They're like, oh my God, we're closing the whole government down. Take the package. Everyone takes the package, and then Elon gets run out of town. Giving into fear never works. Again, a common theme where? In the YouTube member area, where Toby single-handedly kept me and everyone who listened to it calm as Bitcoin was shatting itself down to 74K. Some very powerful podcasts there. Plus, they do live picks, right? You know, we just throw the banter bubbles up there, and she goes, yeah, I like this one, this one, this one, this one. We go through it, and then there's that, and then there's the buckets that she picks where we show the portfolios in CoinGecko. So if you don't want to pay $250 or $700 a month to join some group to find altcoins, join ours. Okay, the XRP and Bitcoin tactical GAN roadmap you have been waiting for. So this is your introduction to the new GAN model. Welcome to Bill's GAN Skynet. Little lumpy like homemade gravy, and that's the way we like it. Homemade. Okay. So Bitcoin TA 97K at this Fibonacci circle analysis. Annoying. You know, they got stoned here. They false breakout here, stoned here. Obviously, this Fibonacci circle line matters. Okay, a lot of support down here at 89K. Hopefully, we don't see that. Tactical trading guys want to talk about 92. We'll talk about that. That showed up in our model. Okay, now, dead serious about this. This is not investment or trading advice. There is lingo in here where it could be construed that way. This is not investment advice. Okay, so here is the revised or the 3-day forecast based on the model. Doing kind of it gives you a range, right? So the estimated range for tomorrow could be 96.1 to 92.7. That's what could happen either way. All right. So if they hit it, they'll hit it to 92. If they break it out, they got to break it out above 96. Now, the GAN model also will tell you what kind of a day you're having. What's this? What is there about the 6? Well, it's buy a dip, right? And who knows? We could have seen that today, right? If they hit it, buy it. And then on the 7th, if it's euphoric, sell it. This is tactical trading. And then it'll say on the 8th, this is the projected range. So if they hit it down to 92.1, buy it. That's kind of what it's implying. Now, the May theoretical strategy, May 8th, that's the guidance by the dips. It's the lowest projected low on the 3-day window, giving you the best entry opportunity. Okay. Intraday weakness followed by potential recovery. Again, this is all being generated by the machine. Okay. May 8th occurs right before a likely new momentum cycle based on GAM time counts and lunar timing, especially in the post-eclipse windows. Holding from this date, you will do well from bullish window forecasting in late May and June. When time is up, price will reverse. Okay, so is time up for the sideways movement? Bitcoin 1-month forecast. The conservative forecast over the next month is a 12% move for 103. The aggressive scenario is an 18% move at 108. And I ask you this. This is what the machine came up with. And if this is what the machine came up with, why is no one talking about 108? Why is no one talking about this thing blowing through 100 and staying above 100? Well, I know who talks about that, right? Toby talked all about 100 the first time. And then she talked about what happens when it breaks through 100. And everyone's talking about 1 million, but no one's talking about 108. Interesting, I think. Okay, XRP, the moment you've been waiting for. If XRP follows a typical pattern, XRP could pull back or go flat. Possible dip to $2. Okay. So if something negative happens, you get $2, and that's to buy the dip zone May 6th through 8th. So if there's a nasty dip coming up, and again, the sell the rally traders are out there, right? There's guys talking about 91. The stock guys want to sell. Everyone wants to sell. Go ahead, dude. Sell it right into the Gann model's lap. Make my day. May 9th to the 13th for XRP. Okay. This window is historically tied to second waves in altcoins after a Bitcoin consolidation, coming from Gann math. XRP during this May 9th to 13th timeframe could break 220 or 225. Okay, so on XRP, what Gann levels matter? May 8th, buy the dip, lunar node, right? So it's going into like the Gann voodoo, reading it and saying, hey, this is what you should do on this date, but not investment advice. And then it thinks May 13th is the day for the strong rally for XRP because everyone is sleeping on XRP. Everyone is asleep now. Great movements in stocks often begin after periods of dullness. Truth of the Stock Tape, 1923. That's where the bigger the base, the higher in the space originally came from. That's the catchy version. And as a reminder, 378 days after the Bitcoin halving, the market takes off. Okay. Bitcoin halving 370 days after the Bitcoin halving in 2016. Bitcoin was at 2,000 and it went to 20. Back in 2020, Bitcoin was at 37,000 in May of 2021 and wound up at 60 something. Why are we all bearish? Why are we asleep? Why do we read negative? Why do we read headlines about a Bitcoin going to 1 million without discussing Bitcoin going to 108? Why? Why is no one talking about AI and privacy? It's amazing that you can read articles every day. I mean, these articles are out every day now, right? Skynet's taking over the world, artificial general intelligence, when a robot's going to come and eat us. Yeah, okay. All the bad stuff, not the good stuff. Of course, if you want the good stuff, right, where's the good stuff? Well, let me tell you where the good stuff is. The good stuff is in not only the YouTube member area, but if you have an allergy to a monthly membership, we have stuff in the Patreon store. Oh, and guess what? The Solana prophecy, the Gann-based Solana roadmap for the next 2 years. So based on what I'm looking at for Solana, based on what this model says, you can have a lot of volatility, say in the summer, but when Solana takes off, I'll give you a hint. In December of 2026, the Solana target is 625 based on Gann. How does it get there? Where will the big correction be? Will it be a 25% correction? Will it be bigger? When do those corrections occur? If you can't find it in Patreon, if you can't find the link, it's on my Twitter. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think anyone's doing this. Like most of the Gann stuff, it may apply to Bitcoin. Sometimes guys chart it. But who's giving it to you like straight? This is a $25 a month product. And then I'm going to be rolling this out. I have SUI. I have Bitcoin. I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. I have Cardano. I have all this stuff that I'm going to be releasing to all of these different groups. And I'm going to put it in the store in case you're allergic to the whole monthly membership thing. Okay. Now, here's what you want to do. You don't want to buy into any negativity if Bitcoin goes to 92. Okay. You don't. Okay. Member request for CEP. Be happy to help you with that. Okay. Is CEP a stock? Oh, Cantor Equity Partners. Okay. Okay, so you have a lot of volatility in this Cantor stock. This is Howard Lutnick's company, the bond brokerage firm. So they said they were going to buy a lot of Bitcoin, and then the stock ramped itself. Sharing screen. Okay, so my opinion about this is it went to the 62% retracement. Somebody told me that there might be a merger happening here. Okay. I don't have a problem with getting involved at the 62% retracement, but as you can tell, the bullish money inflow was kind of excessive. There's only one Michael Saylor. And I think the thing to get from this, I mean, if you want to take a shot at this, this is a 4-hour chart of CEP. And again, I don't know anything about the merger. I know that something might happen. Okay. I have not looked into the details. I'll tell you this. If you want to buy the dip in any Bitcoin stock, feel free. Okay. There's only one Michael Saylor. That's the way I'll say it. But who knows? These other stocks on a dip, you know, like I had a headline. I don't know if I got to it, that Riot was forced to sell Bitcoin. I don't know if they were forced to, either Riot or HUT. I can't remember which one it was. Okay. Sold Bitcoin. The Eagle King gave it to me and I lost it. But when I see Bitcoin mining companies either selling or having to sell or panicking or whatever, I mean, these Bitcoin stocks, they're down 8% today. Here it is, the Eagle King. Never disappoints. Riot, okay, sells mined Bitcoin. So where's Riot? Okay, let's pull it up. Most Bitcoin stocks down 8% today. You know, what is the machine telling you, the GAN machine telling you in principle? That if they smack the market in the next 72 hours, look at it. Let's put it that way without giving investment advice. Now, they're smacking Riot. It breaks out. LuxAlgo puts support underneath it, right? I don't want any at 790. I don't want any at 790, but, you know, at the beginning of the year at $14, it was much more attractive. But at 790, I don't want it. Okay, you have LuxAlgo putting in a trend line underneath here in case they want to hit it down to 740. My attitude is whatever. Selling weakness and buying strength has not paid. And the GAN model, if you just think about it, it's telling you, you know, have a BTFD mentality, which, you know, again, you know, there's a BTFD mentality in my Patreon group. Thanks to Big Rich and T-Bone. Okay. Okay. CEP is like MSTR and will emerge into XXI. Oh, GF looking at virtual. And you know what the funny thing about virtual is? I can't believe people saw the price action in this coin and did not go, wow, this is going up. I wonder what this means, right? It means LuxAlgo is inserting underneath this, right? There are sell signals here and virtuals doesn't care. It's holding on the support because the equilibrium zone in this, okay, and there is a GAN philosophy, which I qualitatively understand about. It's about energy. I have to look it up. Like I said, I'm on Skynet until I literally break it over this new GAN stuff that it's feeding me. Okay. Virtuals is 69% away from equilibrium. Now, one of the GAN concepts is it's like about energy. Toby talks about this constantly, right? Energy. So what do you know about energy and virtuals? Virtuals had the energy to do a 23,000x and go from 0 to 5 billion. This also applies to antivirus. So this had the energy to make that first move. And if it had the energy to make that move, it'll have the energy to make another move, just like it. Now, like I said, like Gann said, sometimes markets have to do, he called it the spiritual work, right? They have to test the believers. I'm not exactly sure what that meant, but Gann had something that said something to the point of good things come to those who wait, / the bigger the base, the higher into space. And this is doing the higher into space, and no one is paying attention. Like, why isn't everyone screaming, oh my God, the AI narrative is back? The only thing you hear about is Fartcoin. That's fine. But what about the rest of the narrative, especially with the rest of the narrative moving? It's like I rant until I pass out. Okay. So people, all this Gann stuff, this is like the sample. This is going to get bigger. It's going to be everywhere. Patreon, YouTube member area, Patreon members, Patreon store. Please check it out. We mean business on giving you the dates. Toby gives you the prices and the targets. And hopefully with this Gann stuff, we can give you the timing as well, at least give you windows so you can have your, thing on your desk, just like we did today, and say, okay, over the next 3 days, if we get a nasty dip, what do we want to do and where do we expect it to recover to? That's kind of good information to have, particularly if you have a whole list of dates throughout a quarter, which again is coming. Don't let them scare you out. Don't let them bore you out. XRP and Bitcoin rallies, I think, coming soon. We'll see you tomorrow at this new time.